slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious.
All right, good night, everyone. We are here with special guest Mark Maia of So-Called Living. We're going to have an amazing show. Welcome to Comix Asylum Live with Jay and Steve. Jay's not here at the moment. He's got another stream, so he's kind of doing double duty, but he'll join us as soon as he's got some time. So, Mark, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. And I'm very curious because I see a book behind you. It says Death of the Family. I know Death in the Family. What story is Death of the Family? No. Is that another Batman story? It's a white. You were so close to it. You're headed to it. Yeah, it's got a white. Yeah, you're right there. Pull in. It says Death of the Family. Oh, it's right next to Loeb. It's a DC white book.
Here?
Yeah, you're so close.
Unwrapped. Yeah, Death of the Family. So this is one of the unwrapped books. This is with let me see if I can get it without any glare. This is a Greg Capullo book. So basically what it is, it's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run. I'm not sure it's had Court of Owls yet. No. But basically what it is, and I'll just open it up. It's the entire run. Let me get this there centered.
Oh, nice.
But without the inks or colors. It's absolutely fantastic. That's and beautiful. since I like to draw, I picked up, I guess, the Flash Unwrapped, and then ironically, because we'll be talking about it, let me get the
Hush.
The Hush Unwrapped, as well as Justice League Unwrapped by Jim Lee. And just looking at them doing their like putting their pencils down, it is just amazing to kind of see the craftsmanship, and also gives me some inspiration as also some tutelage on what to do.
Yeah, Jim Lee's okay.
yeah, we'll get to Jim Lee later because he's making a huge comeback with his creative team from Hush. But tell us about So-Called Living. You guys had an amazing Kickstarter. And to get issue 1 and 2, I think you did 1 and 2 together, correct?
Correct.
Yes, and we met each other. Was it Chatham?
Yeah, it was Chatham.
It was the Chatham Con, great con, and your book was fantastic. I loved meeting your wife Brittany, as well as going through the book. The book was a lot of fun. So tell us about the book, and then we'll get into the Kickstarter.
Yeah, what you saw was this. These exist now physically.
Nice.
For me to hold out, but yeah, So-Called Living, books 3 and 4 are out right now on Kickstarter. Books 1 and 2 came out earlier this year, so that's 4 books a year for me. It's pretty good, especially considering I've never done this before. So
you couldn't tell by the quality of the books.
Thanks, man. One thing I really aimed to do is I tried to stand out from, since I'm unknown, like nobody knows me as a writer in the comic book. Like people know me in board games, people know me in video games, but nobody knows me in the comic book world. And those I find, as far as like that hasn't really crossed over for me. There hasn't been any crossover. So coming in there as an unknown writer with an unknown property, creating all this characters nobody knows about, I felt like one thing I could do to stand out, to make notice, was try to make a product that looked professional, right? And I know you respect that. Your book looks great. Like Adrian looks great, right? So that's one thing I aim to do, right? Because you got to stand out, because there is a lot of indie books out there, and some of them are great stories, but they look a little like unpolished, and I was trying to stand out from them. I was trying to match up with what DC and Marvel is putting out. So and again, that's nothing against indie comic books that have less polish. It's like it's a learning process, but making something that looks final and professional is something I've done in the video game industry. So that's something that I could bring with me to this. So I worked really hard in trying to figure out right down to like what's the paper they use, and a lot of the first like then I think the instinct for a lot of people, and it was for my printers when I talked to them was, yeah, we can get you a high quality, high gloss, thick cover and this nice heavy paper. And I was like, that's not what I want. I was like, I don't want that, because if I pick up a Marvel and DC book, it's floppy. It's like the thinnest paper you have, right? It's like one step above newsprint or onion skin. It's
right.
And I was like, I want the quality that matches what they have out. And since they're mass producing things, they're going for a lower grade paper stock. And I was like, that's what I want, not because I want to be cheap, because I want to be like them. And ironically, to be like the professionals is to lower your paper quality, because if you up it, then you stand out, then you look like one of these special editions, which is fun when you do a special edition. Like when I did these two, this is a thicker stock matte cover that you have up on screen now. And I did that because it was a special limited edition. Like there's only 500 of these and then they're gone. But as far as So-Called Living, the story, which is probably what you meant when you asked me to tell you what So-Called Living is, and these are also a thicker stock, high gloss. So these are shiny or sex pot editions, but this is for books 1 and 2. Anyways, So-Called Living books 1 and 2 established Jack as, that's the guy right there in the middle, establishes him as the main character, and it establishes his situation, which is Jack gets turned into a vampire and he's got to learn to adapt to this new way of living. And you got to know that Jack's world is like ours, except for one major difference. Monsters exist and everybody knows they exist. Vampires, werewolves, zombies, they're all common day. So you could be sitting on the bus next to a werewolf and they're werewolves. It's okay, because like society's just grown up with these people. We've evolved as one, so it's fine. And so that's the world we're in. It's where I like to catchphrase it as, it's where the extraordinary is ordinary. And so Jack is learning to adapt this new way of living as a vampire. And in the beginning, his problems are menial, big for him, because he can't get, his first problem is he can't get into his apartment, because rule number 1 for being a vampire, you can't be invited in. If you have to be to get in, you have to be invited in. So since nobody's there to invite him into his own apartment, into his apartment complex, he's homeless. He can't get into his own apartment. So once you're a vampire, you're on the outside until somebody invites you in. Right. And so that's his first problem. And then, issue 2 starts with him waking up and coming across other problems, like he can't be in the sun or he'll catch on fire, right? What does he eat? There's small issues at first, right? Because issue 1 establishes his situation. Issue 2 gives you an idea of the problems he's dealing with on kind of this very kind of funny, almost slapstick way, as he calls on his friends for help and they're idiots. So, but in the background, there's a side story happening of the mob, and they're not funny people. They're very serious people, and they got wind of this new baby vampire and they're very interested, not in a good way. So they set out to find Jack. So that's kind of all established in the first book. And then once we get to books 3 and 4, which is on Kickstarter now, then we start laying down the groundwork for the bigger story. So we've seen Jack get turned. We see what he's dealing with. And now there's still a little bit of what he's dealing with, but now it's not so much the focus. And now we see more of the mob, which is these angry gentlemen that you just had up on screen. You see more of them, and you get more of a peek into their world. And one of the things I want to do with So-Called Living is, when you're when you're reading about the mob, then you're in their world, and it's not jokey, it's not funny, there's nothing slapstick comedy about it. They're very serious people, and their drama is very real, their violence is very real, their anger is intense. And then when you go on the flip side, you go to Jack, and he's a little more loosey-goosey. It's kind of like the cast of Friends over here on one end and the Sopranos on the other end, and the cast of Friends is being hunted down by the cast of Sopranos. So one thing when I write for these guys, I want the reader to feel like when they're reading with Jack, they're in Jack's world. So everything's a little sarcastic, it's a little funny, and nothing's really taken serious because everything's light. There's no serious issues for Jack. Even being turned into a vampire is like, it's a big inconvenience, but it's not like a world changing. Well, it is world changing, but it's not terrible. Like, he's like, this is just sucks, but I'll deal with it. That's his issue. That's how he is. But then, yeah, when you go to the mob guys, they're like right here. I give you 3 clips. Here's a sample of like 3 pages, and they're very intense individuals. And so when you're with them, and you really get to see that in issue 4, when you're with them, it's a totally different vibe. And I wanted the vibe of the comic book to switch with the group you're in. I didn't want to feel like it was the same voice coming out of every different body that you see. And that was very important to me.
No, and it looks great. I'm just going to have I'm going to put up a comment here. We've got A. White Braxton. He says, awesome. And what's the basis of the comic, which Mark is getting into right now. So Mark, before we dive into the Kickstarter, what was the inspiration for this? Like, where'd you come up with this idea?
Well, I've always I like the idea of monsters and vampires and werewolves, and I love zombie movies. I love horror movies, right? And you watch Freddy Krueger, you watch Jason, and you think it's like, what do they do? What do these monsters do? Like, they can't be angry all the time. They can't be like you always see them, they're killing, right? They're at their worst. Just 2 hours of them just chaos. But if they lived forever, what do they do? Like, what do they do in their downtime? They just sit there and chill. It seems kind of boring. They got to do something. So that's what this is kind of like. It's a world of monsters. And what are they doing? What if they're not out there just massacring all the time? This is just their world. Like, it focuses on the other side of their world. Yeah, there's a little bit of there is violence, definitely, because like Jack gets turned to a vampire, so clearly against his will, as vampires tend to do.
Right.
So that's kind of where this started. So I made this world where all these monsters exist. I don't want them to exist with us, and I want them to be like part of us, like part of existing or part of our world. So that's what I wanted to do. I'm always fascinated by like, what are they doing on the side job? Like, if you could, like, imagine this, put yourself in this foot. Imagine you're just like this just godlike power being, and you could jump into these other realms where these creatures exist. Like, you could go into Nightmare on Elm Street, right? And you could talk to Freddy. He can't hurt you because you're this omnipotent being. You just chat with Freddy. You'd be like, so what do you do when there isn't kids to torture? Or just like, what do you like? How do you chill? Like, what do you do with, other than torturing kids? What do you do for fun? And he can't hurt you, so you got to be like, what's that conversation going to be like with this guy if he can't hurt you? And weird things like that pop into my head every time I see some psycho. It's like, how does he go to the grocery store if it's not Freddy Krueger, somebody obviously that eats, but like what's his normal life like? And that's what I wanted to do. So I guess that was the inspiration. It was like, what's the other side of these monsters?
And if we can, I'm going to play the your video from the Kickstarter.
Let's do it. It's gonna be my highlight of my day. Jack is back, baby. If you're a fan or were even moderately entertained by So-Called Living Books 1 and 2, then you're going to love Books 3 and 4. This time around, we've got more action, more laughs,
and more of these guys who are not to be trifled with. And the return of everyone's favorite BFBs, Nick and Casper. If you missed it the first time, So-Called Living is a dark comedy about a guy named Jack who gets turned into a vampire and has to learn to adapt to this new way of living. And unbeknownst to Jack, the mob has gotten wind of his newly sired vampire status, and they are very interested, but not in a good way. Books 3 and 4 also introduce some new characters that will play a pivotal role in our evolving storyline, some of which are sure to become fan favorites.
Who's Jenny?
But you know what the best part is? Marco Leone is back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The amazing artist who poured all that visual goodness into your eyeballs the first time around has got a gravy boat full of artistry that will delight your corneas. A ladle of...
Okay, enough with the food metaphors. We get it. Marco's good, and we're lucky to have him. Just say that.
I was just doing a thing.
I know. Stop it.
Okay, we're really lucky to have Marco. He's really good at the drawings. And that's not all. For our elite covers, we've snagged Doug Wright Award nominee and all-around good guy, John Little, to grace us with this fantastic variant for Book 3. And for our Book 4 elite cover, we have a rare treat indeed, brought to us by the one, the only, Mark Maia. Yeah, I drew this one. Now, if you're looking for variants of the sexy persuasion, allow me to introduce you to our obligatory Sexpot editions. This time around, we've called upon the ridiculously talented Larry Twasson to produce a set of what could possibly be our sexiest covers yet. And for our returning backers who joined the Blood Bunny colony the first time around, check your email for a special deal exclusive to you. Now, if you haven't joined the colony yet, we've got you covered. These adorable keychains are up for grabs yet again. By picking one up, you will be automatically inducted into the Blood Bunny colony, which unlocks special deals on all future So-Called Living Kickstarters. But most importantly, you need to know that without you, none of this would have been possible. And for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing. Like you absolutely knocked it out of the park with that video. And let's look at where you are in terms of our goals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a really quick scroll and move out of, because I think I have it here as Canadian prices.
No, you have American prices on.
Those are American prices up? All right, great. So let's take a look at what your ask was and what you've raised so far. And it looks like you smashed through your funding request.
Yeah, we did. We did under 6 hours, which was pretty good. And
that's amazing.
Because the pledge number is all this weird number. Like I wouldn't ask for $1,463. It's such an odd number. So yeah, in Canadian it's 2,000. And and sadly in Canadian that number, the 2,600, is like 3,000 something. So, just goes to show you where our dollar is right now.
Yeah, the what is it? The 70% of the US dollars.
Yeah.
It's great.
But what's good about it is I actually recently went in and changed every piece of art on the Kickstarter page that has a dollar sign with a number on it. I was like, I should change that to Canadian because I want the Americans to know when it says like there might be a giant package that says $80, but for you it's 60.
Yes. Yeah.
So I put CAD on all the pricing.
We did the same with ours. Because obviously going through with the two currencies, or even if someone who's overseas looks at it, it could be a bit of a surprise sticker shock wise, either way, depending on the currency.
Yeah, and this thing is like when you see the Canadian price, I hope the American viewers understand you're getting a great deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the dollar exchange is just crazy.
And you've got 56 backers. There's 21 days to go. Everyone, support this. These guys are great. Mark and Brittany have done a great job. They have assembled a great team, and you're going to get some great stuff in these tiers. So if you want, let's go down to, let me hit the menu. Let's see if I can can find it here.
I just
Let's
realized
go-
that my Kickstarter photo is me smoking a cigar in Cuba.
Oh, okay. That's not too
Because I
bad.
made this Kickstarter account years ago because I got like 175 backed projects. So like
Wow.
I've backed a lot of projects.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So let's see. We have got all original pledges for books
Yep.
1 and 2. So it looks here like you've got some bundles, some PDF bundles.
Yeah. So, well, actually, these are the physicals with the PDFs. And
Okay.
the reason I don't have just the digitals available for books 1 and 2 here is because you can get digital. The issue 1 digital is free on Global Comics. So you
Right.
can just check it out there. And it's currently available there if you have a subscription, or you can buy it there. I think you need a subscription to buy it there. I'm not sure. I just recently released it on like book 2 on Global Comics. And I'm not exactly sure how their pay system works yet. I'm still figuring that out.
So see if you can explain this to me, because
Sure.
when you have multiple books on Global Comics, are you able to make each book free to a certain extent, that so all of them aren't like, say, a 9-page preview, or able to do all of book 1 and then 5 pages of book 2? Were you able to do that?
Yeah, you can go in and set each individual page. So book 1 is completely free, and the first, I think, 10 pages of book 2 are free. So you can go in and read some, and if you want to continue, you can like pay to get the rest of the book. So that's why I don't have them here, because they're available digitally elsewhere.
Right.
And pretty cost effective, because like the first one's free. So that's why I didn't put those on here. And actually, there's a late pledge still open for the original Kickstarter, so you can still go through there and get it if you want as well. But it's actually a better deal. I have some catch-up packages, which you'll see. It's actually a better deal to get it through here, because you get a discount if you buy 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That makes total sense. So you've got the Blood Bunny keychain.
Yep, that's our membership keychain.
Sweet.
So that's the so yeah, these are just additional pledges, which we'll cover when we get there. But the Blood Bunny keychain, actually, Jamie Reel is in the chat. He was waving. He designed this original bunny, and
hey Jamie, how are you?
So well, that was me saying Jamie, so he's right above that one. But
oh, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, so that was him waving. So he drew this original bunny back when we were going to work on the project together. Oh, I was trying to get Jamie to work on the project with me. Then Jamie realized his, living his life was probably more important than working on my comic book. So, anyways, but I dug up this bunny he did, and I had like a really low res version of it, so I had to like recreate it in Illustrator. And I recreated it in such a way I had to thicken some of the lines so I could give it to Brittany, who we've got a laser cutting machine, and she makes these at home. So we make these in our house, like 2 floors up.
Very cool.
These are being made. And the benefit for that, it's not just an $8 keychain. You become inducted into the Blood Bunny colony. That's why it says official member.
And what does that do? What does that give you? What does the Blood Bunny membership give you?
If you buy a keychain, you get automatically inducted, and that gets you a benefit, like of some sort,
like a perk
on the next, like a perk on the next So-Called Living Kickstarter. So backers who got the keychain the first time around have the option of either upgrading from the standard edition to the elite for free, upgrading from the elite to the sex bot for free, or if they don't want the upgrades, they can get a free print and sticker set.
Oh, that's great.
And
that's great. And
that's all tossed in for free if that's the option they choose. And so it's just like you get a cool little keychain, but it also like helps support us. So I want to kind of do like this membership thing where I give back to the people that were there in the beginning to help me. So if you back it now, you won't get a benefit on this Kickstarter, but you get a benefit on the next one. And since I plan on continuously having So-Called Living Kickstarters coming out for one thing or another, even after the story's done after 8, I want to have more so-called, like the story will continue.
Right.
So I want to be able to apply that.
That's awesome. I'm just going to go to some of the comments here.
Sure.
Bernie, great to see you. Hello, guys. How are you this evening? We're great. No complaints whatsoever. We have Mr. Wonderful. Did Mega J shave and change his name? No, Mega J is doing double duty tonight. He will be joining us later. We have Mark with us, who is the like co-creator, co-writer, would you say?
No, I'm writer, creator. Marco is the artist, so we're very separated.
Okay, so Mark is the creator and writer of So-Called Living, a fantastic kind of like horror comedy comic book that he kickstarted, and he is now has another Kickstarter for issues 3 and 4 that we're just going through right now. And James says, all is fantastic. First time Comics Asylum visit and full-time SLC supporter. Well, James, welcome. Pleasure to have you here. Bernie, curious, last time I was here in chat, you were talking about the new Batman with the big black axe-looking logo. What's the deal with 2 different #1 comics having 2 different covers? You know what? I bought mine today too. We will get to this because this book is insane. But we will give Absolute Batman its love, and then we're also going to talk about Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb coming back to, and also I'd be remiss if I didn't include Sinclair on colors and Williams on inks. They're going to be doing a new Batman story. And then J-Man, hey guys, I can't stay. Just giving a thumbs up. J-Man, I saw your review. 9 out of 10. You guys got to check out J-Man's channel. It's off the chain. He does a lot of great comic book themed episodes and streams. And I'm not fully finished Absolute Batman yet, but J-Man, I'm with you. It reimagines Batman. It's like Batman meets Mad Max. It's high octane adrenaline. It's everything.
No spoilers.
We'll get into maybe some small spoilers. And J-Man says, I really like Absolute Batman. He says that comic is different from mine, so there's more than 2 then. I think there's 4 covers, and then they have foil versions of all
that's
of
what this is.
Right? So you have the foil of A by the interior artist, and then I picked up the Jim Lee foil, which is the version that is almost like a virgin cover with no logo at the top. And J-Man says, thanks, man. No, thank you. You do great work, and people should tune into your channel and check out what you got going on. So let's go to the books signed tier. These are some of the add-ons. So if you get your book signed, it's for $5 Canadian.
Yeah, $5, and I sign everything you get. So like we had somebody that backed they backed 3 all-ins. So $5, I just signed them all. And like just so everybody realizes, like if you see me in person at the show, I'm just gonna sign your book. The $5 is just an addition, like it's just to support indie, right? It's just another level, another way to support us, to keep the cost low. But if you can, for those of you who can, share the love.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we've got I'm kind of going backwards.
Yeah, that's our all-in.
This is the all-in new stuff. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, so 3 and 4, everything PDF and all covers.
Yeah.
And this looks like an all-out kind of like a WWF. This one right here.
The one with all the girls. That is actually the sexy version. If you go up, the standard cover is got right there. It's got the guy. Oh, you pass it. It's got the guys all brawling on issue 4.
Oh, there we go. So there you go. You have your flip covers. There
so I thought it would be funny for the sexy version if since it's a bunch of guys brawling on cover 4 of the standard edition. I was like, how about for the sex pot? It's all the girls in the club get into a scrap. So that was that.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. And let's move up here. This is the physical copies. For $35, you get physical copies and the digital versions.
Of the Sexpot editions. Which are limited to 300. And these are all drawn by Larry Twasson. Check it out. He draws these like traditionally. Like this is the pencil and ink original. And he mails them to me. So
those are great.
Beautiful. So and the other one is currently in the mail.
Nice.
So he does amazing work. Like he works under a magnifying glass. Like he has this giant magnifying glass, like Sherlock Holmes, and he's trying to solve the mystery of this image. And he's just like going to town on it. He puts out videos of him drawing. It's amazing.
It's good for his eyes.
Yeah, I got him to do the set this time, around instead of doing different artists for each. So
so let's get to some of the other ones. This is the
Elite.
3 and 4 elite covers. And again, what makes them elite?
So the elite covers are I just wanted a name for guest artists. So when I bring guest artists on, so in the first two I had Derek Loftman, his Kickstarter just crushed like 96,000. He just finished, so
wow,
he did great. He's got a huge following. He did one of the covers, the variant for issue 1, and then the variant for issue 4 was done by for issue 2 was done by Ashton Techno Prasad, who's he's a big photographer in Toronto. So, and since I'm from Toronto originally, I thought, put something back in my city. I love his photography. So it was a photograph cover for that variant. And these two, the yellow one is John Little, who does, what's the series? Power 9. He was nominated for he's a great artist. He's got John has definitely got a style that's very John about him, and I've worked with him in the past. So I gave him the concept for this cover, as far as like I drew a triangle, and I was like, this is a glass, and I drew stick people coming out of it, and then drew it into a sea, and I like him pouring into a sea, and I was like, that's the idea. I was thinking, I was like, what do you think of that? He's like, oh, I like it, I'll go with it. And when he brought this back, I was like, it's such a John. It's got a John flavor to it. It's what I expected, so he nailed it, and so I liked it. I redid the logo to match his cover, because originally he just had the red logo, and I thought it didn't do his art justice. So I created this like photocopy version. And then the pink one with the bunnies is a 3-color cover that I did.
Oh, nice.
And so I decided I wanted to do, one cover, and I did something that was kind of paying homage to the Blood Bunny colonists. So I just did a bunch of bunnies, because bunnies do play a part in our story.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and it hasn't shown itself yet. It's there. It's just in the background, it's percolating, sizzling, and you can see the whole Kickstarter as you're scrolling through this. The whole perimeter of the page, you see bunny ears, bunny heads. Like that's the whole page is all bunnies in the background. So the idea is that there's this underlining bunny story, and that's kind of a bit of a mystery of like, what's with the bunnies? But there's the whole that they're not the main part of the story, but they are a global event that is taking place while Jack's story is happening.
Right. Excellent. And we'll scroll up here to standard covers.
Yeah. So
these are going for $25.
Yeah, these are the Marco Leone, the artist who did the interior, did the exterior, and I love his cover for number 4. That's my favorite piece from Marco so far. Hey, we got a guest.
We're gonna welcome. He's finally been released from the bonds of duty.
Oh my God!
Welcome, Mega J.
I don't know how this is possible. Apparently, I'm streaming in 2 different locations at the exact same time. I don't even know how that's possible.
If you must have read Absolute DC, that's why, and that's all in. It's all in. It's all in, man.
The freaking multiverse. I'm streaming in 2. I don't even know it's like. I don't even know if that works on terms of service. I don't know how that actually works, but apparently I am actually streaming in 2 different locations at the exact same time. Checking. Yeah, I'm still streaming on the other side. And I'm not even there anymore. I'm like, I've excused myself. I've literally excused myself from the other stream. And you know what? Bring up Mr. Wonderful's comment. Because he's actually the one who told me, Jay, are you streaming in 2 places at the same time? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Read that.
Mr. Wonderful at Mega J Retro, you were in 2 places at once. It was weird because I came here to watch you to find another one going. Look at you.
I don't even. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You know what it is. You're like Barry Allen from the Flash show. Yeah, your temporal remnants are running all over the place. Well done.
I'm gonna run into one of them eventually. You know what I mean? He's gonna have the short beard. I'm gonna have the long beard. It's gonna be crazy. Anyway, thanks for having me, guys. Sorry for being late.
It's all good. Glad you could join us.
Super exciting. Mark, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Amazing campaign. Oh my God. And you know what? The book looks great. Looks fabulous.
Yes.
I love the artwork. Your team has done an amazing job. I'm looking forward to it. So what are we talking about now? Halloween? Like, no, just kidding.
We're just going through some of the tiers, and Mark's been doing a great job just kind of getting us into what exactly so-called living is all about. And he's smashed through his totals already. I think they did it. You said it was in 6 hours, Mark?
Yeah, less than 6 hours, which is pretty good.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
There was one tier we missed. I didn't even notice you scroll past it. Was the it's a catch-up package. So it's like where you can get books 1, 2, 3, and 4. The banner says save, 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 save. So it's a big red banner. If you scroll fast, you'll see it. It's like one of those big ones, but it's red and it says save, save, save. Where is it?
Stuff.
Where is it?
The reviews are in.
Yeah, because we did all this, so we must have.
Original pledges.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is. So this is the one where it's like books 1 to 4 catch-up packs. So it's like this is where you can get books 1, 2, 3, and 4 of whatever like cover set you want with all the digital versions as well. So you get the digital and you get the physical all in one handy little package. And of those packages, last time I checked, the Sexpot one was the most popular.
All right.
Of
That's
the
great.
1, 2, 3, and 4s. Yeah.
That's great. I'm just going to go back to some of the comments. And Bernie, he actually is talking about Batman, and we're going to get to Absolute Batman for sure. So he said he picked up the foil version that just has a big black logo on it, and the one with a gray see-through screen and Batman standing, taking up the whole left side of the cover, looking in the distance at a building. Yeah, they had some great covers. I don't think I saw the one with the black logo, and I think that's basically his new chest plate that turns into an axe, like a brutal axe. But yeah, the foil ones I didn't expect, and some of them were absolutely stunning. James says John Little, FTW.
For the win. Yeah, John's great.
Right. John Little's comic, The Salesman, is fantastic. Check it out if you can. Thanks for the plug there. Bernie says, understand, I haven't been in a comic book shop looking at comics in 23 years. Totally lost today. I was with all the new ones out there. Got a total of 5 comics. Hey, good for you. What were the other ones did you get? Did you get all 5 as Ultimate, as Absolute Batman? We'll see. And then Mega J, they finally let me go. LOL.
I still don't know how it's even possible. I have no idea. It's crazy.
Mr. Wonderful says he liked both streams, which is fun.
Thanks.
And then Bernie says Faker
Travis.
J.
Thank you, Travis.
Masters of the Universe style.
Travis is the one who saved me, man. He's like, shouldn't you be on another stream? I'm like, oh crap, I should be.
So Mark, you and I did the same thing today. I went to Gotham Central, which is in Mississauga, just outside of Toronto, and had a good chat with Clara and Carlos, who run the shop. Fantastic people. They run a great store, and it was RAM. Apparently, they had a surge of people when they opened at 11 to pick up issue 1 of Absolute Batman.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was nuts. Because by the time I got there, which was like 1 o'clock, there were pockets on the shelf that were empty, and they were constantly refilling, the different covers.
Oh, I lucked out. There was tons where I went, and I went late because I'm currently a little fun fact. I'm on painkillers right now because I came out of the hospital. I hurt my back, so I can't drive. And that just happened this weekend. And so I had to wait for my wife to come back on break, so she drove me. So I was late. Usually I'm there at 10 when they open the door.
Right.
But yeah, she drove me there, and there was tons of. I was like, oh, Absolute Batman's finally out, so I just picked it up. But my favorite thing I picked up, that I'm very excited about. Look at this.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's like black pages.
Oh sweet.
So it's things heavy. It's intense. I love Mark Miller, man. So he's
and I think that's Pepe Larraz on pencils.
Yep.
They both absolutely slapped on that book.
Yep,
for sure.
So, and I have some of the single issues back. I've had a few holes, and it was annoying me that I never found them. And then when I saw that, I was like, take it. I'll take it. Big Game is a great read for sure.
Yep. So before we head over to talk about Batman, I want to show some of these covers, and I'm just going to go to the Gotham site, and let me just pull this up here. There we go. So this is cover A here.
I'm still that. I
Pardon?
can't get over the bat symbol. That bat symbol. It looks like a video game error that was not corrected in post. You know,
No, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So that's cover A.
It doesn't bother me at all.
They have a blank one. I think this is cover C. Oh, cover B here. This one is by Wes Craig. And I don't think this one came in a foil variant. Let's go back. So then this is the Jim Lee one, and I got this one as a variant, as a foil variant. The foil variant for this one looks pretty good. And Mark, go ahead. Sorry, say that again.
Is that a bow and arrow he's holding it?
No, it's basically a hatchet. It's an axe.
No, I'm talking about the other thing in his hand. Is that a no, those are
no, that's his cape. Right? That's his cape.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the cape actually almost like tentacles, not to give away too much.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's insane. It's insane what this new Batman can do.
I actually I'm digging when the axe head is not on his chest. I like the Captain America scale pattern there.
Whatever it attaches. Although it doesn't make sense design wise. Like it looks great, I suppose, but it doesn't make sense design wise because his chest isn't flat.
No,
right? So
every time he crouches over, he's cutting himself. Like
he should have incredible lacerations on his inner shoulders.
Absolutely.
It's some of that Iron Man tech, where the metal is flexible and then it's like hard.
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe it's nanotech.
Billionaire monies. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, this one by Mitch Gerrits is also another great cover. And then finally, I think that's it. Just let me scroll. I think that was all that I think there are only those 4, and then obviously there's the blank cover here as well too. So if there are any artists out there that like to do sketches at conventions, Gotham has a whole bunch of blank.
There's nobody like that.
None at all.
Who does that crap?
No, we don't know anyone like that at all.
Hacks.
Yeah, but
how dare you draw on somebody else's work? Come on.
No, absolute Batman it's a good read. Enough about me. Mark, what did you think of it?
I haven't read it. I just picked it up.
Okay.
I picked it up. I put it on my desk, and I've been here. I've been here in this space with them teasing me in front of me. So I'm gonna read it today. I read when I go to bed. So I go in bed, put my reading glasses on because I'm an old man now.
Right.
Flip through, get cozy. So I even got one of those.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. You're preaching to the choir. I mean,
I push the button, it comes up. It's like a hospital bed. I got one of those.
You are preaching to the choir, brother. Don't worry about it. We're all there. I got the bedpan going. It's okay. I don't even bother getting up anymore. I just
just roll over.
When I feel it, I'm like, hey, there it is.
Keep adjusting until you hear that tinny sound of liquid hitting metal. Yeah, I nailed it. Nailed it.
First time.
Yeah, totally. I'll just say this for the DC, I guess, Absolute Power series. It was interesting. There were and Vaughn, who was here earlier. Let me see if I can find him. Hey everyone, Vaughn Joseph. He's one of our partners in crime here at Comix Asylum. He and I were commenting that it just moved a little too fast. So you had to read all of the connecting issues. That's so everything kind of didn't play out as quickly as it did. But where they're going with it is very interesting. It's got a very Secret Wars, like the latest Secret Wars kind of vibe with what Doom was doing. So it's got that. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's got that kind of a vibe to it. And so it'll be really interesting to see where they go with it and how. Let's just say that this new Absolute universe with the new Batman and new Wonder Woman and Superman, at its core, it's a bit of a hellhole. What it spawns from is a bit of a hellhole, so that's why everything seems so dark and edgy. But it's I liked it. I can't lie. I didn't finish Absolute Batman 1, but I'm probably about 70% through it, and I really like it.
Yeah, you probably liked it more because of that logo, the chest logo. You liked it. You didn't even realize.
James and I, we had this conversation, as did Bernie, a few weeks ago. He pointed out last time how that axe would cut up your arms, and yes, it was one of those ones where we're like, "Oh my goodness, that's." It. I know James hates it. He hates that logo.
I don't. I don't hate it. I mean,
I don't. Sorry, hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word.
There's an aesthetic there that works, but at the same time, I agree wholeheartedly with your assessment of the whole situation. I mean, you know, there's a practicality about it that really needs to be, you know, thought through a little bit. But when you think about nanotechnology, I don't know, anything's possible now, right? So you know.
Yes, yeah. So we'll go with it.
You know, I like the logo just because it's different and it's safe to it because you know it's not going to be a permanent thing. Like, you know, it'll go for like a few months, then it'll be back to the Batman logo. Somebody's going to draw it back. Like, that's not the end all logo of Batman's. I feel like this guy's been around for so long. I like I like to change it up and just try something new, because at the same time, and I get it. Like, I'm not a huge fan when they do things to Spider-Man that I don't like, because, you know, I like I'm a Spidey fan. But at the same time, you got fans like me like complaining about like when it's not Spider-Man-y, but at the same time I'm complaining. It was like, why don't you do something new? so like I get both sides of the argument, but it's all temporary. It'll all reset itself. In the end, none of it really matters. You just have to enjoy the ride.
Like anything else, the multiverse is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, like, you know, this is one else world, and that's another else world, and you know, it's just how things work. I mean, you know, it all started way back when, you know, with the New 52 or whatever it was, and
I think
and all of a sudden, you know what, everything happens. I mean, like, Kingdom Come is another else world. You know, it's crazy. Everything else, and then of course, like we just talked about, the Flash. He's changing worlds everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, somebody's got to stop him. He needs an intervention. It's like, just leave reality alone. You need to stop. But it's always fun.
I'm not sure if it's just me or if it's everyone else, but I'm.
You're listening a little bit, but it's fine. We can hear you.
We seem to be stuck. Okay, good.
No, it's
right.
there.
Was stuck for a second.
Jay's moving for me.
Okay, good.
Steve's stuck.
Okay, good. You guys both have stuck for me.
See, he was trapped in the multiverse. Steve was another plane of existence.
No. He's gone. He's gone.
Oh my God, there he is. He went HD again. It's awesome.
Dark side came for me.
He caught up to the regular timeline. It's amazing. The multiverse is amazing.
But yeah, you were saying that the multiverse is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Oh, did I pause on you? Yeah. The multiverse, I think, is
for me. In my timeline, you stuck.
In his timeline, you died. You just
Mark, should I repeat myself, or do you think we're good? I think we were okay.
Yeah, we were good. I got everything.
Good, perfect. But no, yeah, but the thing about it too is, though, I know we complain about this all the time, but this like, I'm not sure what the sales figures are going to be, but I'm sure a lot of local comic shops sold a boatload of comics today. Not only just absolutes, but then anything else that was, you know, maybe on someone's pull list or maybe not on someone's pull list. Because Bernie got into a store for the first time in 23 years.
Was there a lot of
Bernie's helped to move around? I mean, come on. It took him 23 years to walk there. the man works. Come on.
Were there any absolutes released today other than Batman? I was in and out fast today. Okay.
No. So it's just Batman. I think Wonder Woman's in a couple of weeks, and then Superman is the last one. Yeah. Let me go back to some of the comments. Mike's Total Dragon channel. Absolute Batman was better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be all style and no substance. I was glad to be proven wrong. Yeah, it's a good read. It's definitely a good read.
Okay.
Yeah. Bernie Lomax pricey. The new Batman comic is $12.50 It was for one. I guess you may have bought one of the foils.
Well, this foil is, well, I guess it's 79. It's 7.99 American, so whatever that
Yeah,
translates.
that's
Yeah.
closer to what ours is. Yeah.
Yeah, with taxes in and everything.
Yeah.
James says, I hope I can get a copy of Abby Bats. You guys have convinced me. Yep, run to your local comic shop. Vaughn says, hopefully 1 year of this universe, or it's not worth it. Well,
I want a copy. I want a copy of So-Called Living. Actually, I would love a copy of So-Called Living. I think
you should run out and get some. The Kickstarter is live right now. What a coincidence that you brought that up.
Can we throw that up, Steve?
Absolutely.
We should throw that back up. Talk a little bit more about it. As much as I love Batman, I like So-Called Living too. I think it's a great.
And there's bats on one of the covers, actually. Standard cover issue 3. There's a bat on it. We could say we're paying homage to Absolute Batman.
I think there's some there's some sweater puppies on there too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In the what was the tier called again, Mark?
The obligatory sex pod edition.
That's right. That seems to be, if you're doing
very popular for some reason.
If you're doing a Kickstarter, that seems to be what brings in the eyes.
I was telling you, I say this all the time on my channel, and I'm not afraid to say it. Geeks are simple, okay? Give them titties and give them some action, and you know what? They're happy. Just give the people what they want. Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like these covers are fun. It's actually these the idea for these covers came from my wife, actually. After my research of like what makes a successful Kickstarter, and it's you're either a huge IP, you're a well-known artist or writer, but most of the ones I saw were well-known artists or NIPs. And then the next thing was like, if you're basically softcore porn, if you wear a bikini and you fire lasers in space, skyrocket. Like at one point I was checking it and it was like I can't remember how I had it sorted. It was like most funded Kickstarters or best funded Kickstarters for comics. And it was like The Expanse, and there was like 2 or 3 Power Rangers, and then the next 11 were Lady Death.
Right.
And it was, and then after that, and I looked at other comic books that were like from first-time creators and seeing what they did, and the best ones were like ones with like just big boobs on the covers and just like basically softcore porn on the inside. That's what we're. So I was telling my wife, I was like, how do I compete with this? I was like, I can't, like, it's like, I can't change So-Called Living to like a porn book or like pornography book. And there's nothing sexy about it. And again, just to be clear, I have nothing against sexy books or pornography. That's just, my thing was So-Called Living isn't any of that. So I was like, how do I, and she's like, oh, just do a cover. And I was like, well, how do I do a cover that fits in with the world and what it's like So-Called Living is? So then I thought of the badge, obligatory sex pod edition. So then I take elements from the book and I blow them up in a sexy way. So we have a panel in book 3 of like zombies in a pool. So I thought, what if a sexy girl came out of that zombie pool? And then book 4 has got a cover, like the standard cover is all a bunch of guys fighting. And I was like, what if all the girls that weren't in that cover fighting were fighting in the sexy cover? So that was the deal. And for books 1 and 2, it was like I took 2 characters from there and I sexified them like cosplayers make sexy versions of Mario and Luigi. Right. So that's what I did for the first 2 books.
Yeah, it does work. I mean, like, seriously, I went so you know what, I was putting together another thumbnail for myself, and I was like, all right, you know what's I tried this anyway, right? What thumbnail would work for this? And I was like, sure, let's do this cover. Why not? And it's on the webpage. Why don't we just do that?
It's right there. Go with it. Embrace it.
There's the main character. He's doing his thing, and there's another so-called character. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. It's just a little bit of beefcake, cheesecake. You know what I mean? It's all there, right? But sometimes you need
So-Called Living is fun. It's a fun book.
That's the key. That's exactly what I'm talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've read 1 and 2, and they're a lot of fun.
And that's the key about it, right? Like sometimes you do need a hook, right? But the actual material on the inside it's what's really important. And if you want a little bit of, again, like a little bit of cheesecake, why not? I mean, it happens all the time. For crying out loud, Marvel and DC, they have their swimsuit editions.
Mhm.
Like, who's that actually serving, right? Of
Image
course.
had theirs too, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I got them. I got them all. If it came out in the 80s and the 90s, I got it.
Yeah. And what's it called? The Udon. Udon does their swimsuit editions now too, right? I mean, again, it's just fun. You know what I mean? Who doesn't like a zombie chick? You know what I mean? Like what was that? I think it was Resident Evil 3. The dude got into an accident because he was looking at two zombie girls. He was like, "Whoa!" and they freaking just got into an accident. It was great.
I don't think I saw that, but now I'm going to look for that. I want to see that scene.
But yeah, man. I mean, like, and then I love the way you guys have also done a lot of the marketing for this.
Yeah, the marketing's off the chain.
It's so good. It is so
thanks,
good,
guys.
right?
Yeah, this is like one of the original. It's like the original pencil works, and then I just wanted to alternate with the colors to kind of try to show progress. And it's interesting because as the writer, like I put together the videos, I contribute the logo, and I did the bunny cover. Artistically, that's all I contribute, and then the rest is like the story writing. So when I do the so-called living like media stuff, I try to spruce it up and try to fancy it up with like things like this, like cool animations and soundtracks to show it off. But yeah, and this was it in progress. I was getting progress reports sent to me from Larry Twasson, who drew this, so I had to use his progress images to do this. Yeah, and it's amazing that he does this traditionally. But as cool as it is that he does it traditionally, I got to say the cleanup of the line work when coloring can be a bit tedious.
No, 100%. Like,
yeah, that's part of the sauce, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and I again, marketing. This is called marketing, people. When you're at a booth, this is how you market. Okay, like I'm not gonna lie, I've invited significant others and other people to help along with the booth. It helps. It's okay. It's all right.
What's great about the girls is, and Steve met them, is there's always two of them at the booth. And the very first con we did, we only had the one because it was our first con. But there's always two girls at the booth. And we made those stands that the comic books are in, the wooden stands.
Those are awesome.
We
are you serious? You made those? That's sick.
So I designed them, and you notice it's got the same bunny trim that the whole Kickstarter does
on the edges.
I love it.
And it's got the big bunny in the background. And so I created that, and then I send the files up to my wife upstairs, and she cuts it in a laser machine. Same thing we did with these bunny keychains.
That is so cool.
Jamie, who was in the chat, he actually did the original, and then I did that. So yeah. And that's an original print from Marco Leona, the artist. He wanted to do something a little extra. And so what's good about having the girls there is people recognize when they see the two of them, they recognize it as it's a pattern, it's a brand, right? It's not just one person wearing a tank top that has a logo on it. So they have the ears, they have a shirt, they match. So when they're walking around separately on the floor, people are like, "Hey, I was at your booth. Hey, I bought your book. Hey, I did this thing."
Exactly.
Like people recognize it, right? So through this whole process, and I did the same thing with my YouTube channel, my board game channel, trying to establish a brand. And hey, look at that!
That's familiar.
Yeah, in London, Ontario. That's we were sat side by side. That's when we booked this date.
Yep, with all of Kevin Eastman's fans in front of us, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I heard you guys had quite the traffic. Actually, it was quite a thing. And do you guys do a lot of sketch covers for the TMNT? Or
there's Ben Bishop, he does Turtles. Sorry, did we do a lot of what?
I guess it's more for Steve. Do you guys do a lot of sketch covers or any?
No, we didn't do any sketch covers.
No,
no, not at London.
Yeah, so and this worked out for me because London's where I live now, so it was just down the street. And it's actually just down the street from where our friend Jess lives, so it was very, very convenient for her. Oh, and there's our Kickstarter video. I also shared it on Instagram. Yeah. But and it was fun making these things, right? And I just want to get the word out as much as, because I think So-Called Living is a great story. Like, I really like So-Called Living. It's easy to read. Like it's snappy, it's witty, and the art is amazing. Marco nailed it out of the park. And I think it'll surprise a lot of people. when they read it, because I think people have certain expectations. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday, and they said that they thought vampires were done. Like, everything to do with vampires are done. And then he was like, then I read your book, and I was like, these vampires are different.
Yeah.
So he's like, maybe vampires aren't done. So, because yeah, they are different vampires. Because it answers the question, what do they do in their off time? So yeah, this is me trying to share. Like, I put together the Kickstarter page, so I was like, I'll show some of that. So I'm trying to show as much as I can, but it's a fun process, and I want it to look as professional as possible, and I enjoy doing it, although it's taxing. And I think
Yeah.
everybody who wants to get into indie comics, as you guys know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So get ready.
So, Mark, this is a question that I get asked a lot. So I'm going to throw it to you. This is a two-parter. What's the most unexpected part of doing a Kickstarter or / indie book, and how difficult was it?
The most unexpected part. Good question, because I did a lot of homework before I get started, right? So like I tried to reduce my surprises as much as possible. But I guess what was unexpected was the how much it costs as a writer getting into comics. It's a lot more affordable. Like, you pay in time. If you're an artist, it's a lot easier for an artist who doesn't write to put out a comic book than it is a writer who doesn't draw to put out a comic book. Now, I am an artist, but I'm not a sequential artist, so that's not my thing. I always said I could probably do a cover, which I did the one, but it was a pretty simple cover, but I thought it was fun. It's what I set out to do. But yeah, I'd say the cost. There's a lot of cost, and as much as you can prep for time, it's going to be more. Right? It's going to be more money and more time than you think it's going to be. You're going to be like, all right, I'm going to set aside all this money. I'm ready to go in debt for this. I'm going to do it. And then I know I'm just not going to sleep for like 6 months. I get this done. Like, well, double that. Don't sleep for a year. And then whatever money you put away, you're going to need that much more, that equal amount in credit. So that's it. And that's kind of a little word of warning to anybody new, not to do it. I want people to do it. I just want you to go in prepared.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that's
100%.
And actually, no, here's the most surprising thing: how hard it is to get noticed. It's so hard to get noticed.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm doing these videos. I'm doing I'm trying to do social branding, and I thought I could help because I have a board game channel that's got like close to 17,000 subs, and I thought maybe I can use that, but there's very little crossover, and I don't want to push on them, so I don't I don't promote so-called living on that channel. I tried in the beginning, maybe a story here and there, but I don't want to alienate the people who come there for board games. They come there for board games, so I don't want to be pushing this other thing on them. Every once in a while, I'll peek in there with a story and let them know, and then pull it right back out. So I don't want to mix those two worlds. So I was hoping I could use that more than I could, but I haven't noticed a lot of transfer. But there are some like longtime board game coffee fans that were like, boom, day one supporters. Like, they were there, and they're always wishing me luck. So that's good. That's good to have. But yeah, it's hard to get noticed.
But I would say that you have been noticed because you are one of Kickstarter's projects that they love. Like, you got the badge.
I did. I got it twice. I was so happy. I was kind of disappointed for a while because I got the first one way before the Kickstarter went live. But at the same time, I was going to launch in November last year, and I was like, that's bad timing. So I waited till March. So the Kickstarter sat there in like project coming soon for like 5 or 6 months, right? It sat there. So it had a following of like 180 something followers. And I was like, that's great. This time I had like 82 followers or something like that, but it was on for a lot less time. Like, the Kickstarter page was up for like two months, maybe 2.5 months. And so it wasn't up there as long. And so I had a lot of time to build traction the first time around. And so, but this time now I knew what I was doing. It's just I just hit it, ran with it. Like, right now I'm still doing the I'm fixing the the lettering, and I got to send things off to the printers. But like the lettering's done, the coloring's done, all that's done. But there's probably a few tweaks here and there. But since I had so much extra time for the other Kickstarter, everything was tweaked, everything was done because I held off and I had that extra time. So I was like, well, might as well get these books as done as possible. So they were done. So I had a lot of stuff to show. That's why in the video you see some black and white pages, because when I put the video together, there was they weren't colored yet.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense, right? The one thing that you want to try to do when you're doing these kind of projects is you don't want to have your backers waiting for like half a year, sometimes a year. Like you hear some horror stories. And so you want your book to be, or whatever project you're working on, to be as close to being finished. Like I know Mega J, when you did Flip War, it's a bit of a different story because like production on a toy is completely different, right?
There's so many different variables. I mean, like the overhead is exponentially larger. And then there are the hidden costs that you don't realize until like things actually start happening. I mean, coming from the printing industry, all of us, right? We sort of know where our margins are, where our wiggle room is. That was an unknown variable with action figures, because action figures is not my world. It is now, but it wasn't then. And now knowing, coming from the inside looking out, it's like, wow, we were lucky to actually get the money we did, because like it's literally, I just mentioned it in previous live stream. It's like a cheetah running after you. You think you have a lot of money, but the cheetah keeps chasing after what money you have, and then by the end of it, you're like, geez, if I have $1,000 left over, I'll be happy. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and like I've told this to the artist. Actually, had Jamie did one of our Sex Pot covers. He's in the chat. He did one of our Sex Pot covers for the first Kickstarter, and he did the one for book 2, the one with the waitress. And I was telling him the other day we had lunch, and I said, you've made more money on this book than I have. And that's true for all the artists, because all the artists got paid. And you try to make as much back as you can on Kickstarter to like cover print costs, and then you have tables, and then you try to make your table, and then after that you can start calculating how much you make. Assume you don't count the food and your place you stay if you had to stay somewhere, right? Like the whole thing, if you really get into the weeds, it's a little depressing, but the love for it's there, and then you want to try to make a brand, establish a brand, and do a thing. So you got to do it for the love. Don't do it for the money, right? And if you love it enough, hopefully the money will come, right? And the money hopefully will come to keep you doing it, right? But the love is what's got to fuel it.
Yeah, for sure. And so the thing about doing a physical comic book is that you have to figure out your printing, right? So we got a question here from Vaughn. What was your minimum print run?
My minimum print run for So-Called Living, I went big. For each issue, so let's say it's the same for each issue. So for issue 1, I had 2,000 comics made, 1,200 standard editions, 500 elite editions, 300 Sexpot editions. Right. And if I ever sell out of the standards, I'll reprint the standards, but the elites and the Sexpots are done. Maybe they'll pop up again as a print or something in the future, but once they're done, they're done. They're like a limited edition run thing. So that's that. But that's what I did. So I did 2,000 of each, and I did offset printing. I didn't do digital because I was trying to get my costs down as much as possible. So if you do a bunch, so I'm in it for the long run. So I committed to that.
Yeah, Jay, you were going to say something.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm just going to let these guys leave because apparently they're signing off. So give me a second.
Yeah. All right. Well, so while you're doing that, I'm going to get to some more of the.
I came back to say goodbye because I know you guys are signing off. So.
Here's Mega J doing double duty. So Bernie says, "Laser Space Death Porn comic. Interesting. Can I find this in a comic shop?"
Everybody's got to go. I just wanted to say goodbye.
Laser Space Death Porn comic. You would probably find that on Kickstarter right now. Probably wouldn't be hard. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Or maybe Mark, this is what you do after So-Called Living.
Yeah, that's the next title. I'll write that down.
Yeah. James says Marco's art style is a perfect fit for the SCL story. Tip of the hat to the layout and design of the Kickstarter itself. Fantastic job marketing the book. Definitely supports the content and the quality. And marketing goes a long way. That's like why when you see a film and its budget is, 300 million and 150 million is like on advertising, like it's necessary, especially to cut through all the noise because there's so much product out there, especially on Kickstarter. And then as an indie, you're trying to be Marvel and DC's marketing arm, Image's marketing arm, Boom's marketing arm, and then whatever else is on Kickstarter. Like there's so much noise out there. So as you said before, Mark, getting noticed is Herculean, and you guys are doing a great job with your marketing strategy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and right now the strategy is try to get in front of as many people as possible. But yeah, you know what's cool? It was a cool marketing thing which I enjoyed doing, which I don't think probably a lot didn't come from it, but it was probably my most fun marketing thing to do. Was I have this I believe it might be on the Instagram page, but there's this ad I put out. It's like an animated little video. It's a picture animated photo of a girl in a subway. She's holding it up and she's reading the comic.
Yes.
And she's got ears drawn on her, and it flickers in and out, and then the covers change and bunnies appear in the background. So it's almost like reality is like shifting. It's like zzz. And I did, there you go. So that's one of the cuts. I did a lot of cuts of this. So like different panel sizes, but yeah, it's got a cool track behind it, and the ears are drawn on, and everything's kind of like, it's got the very Spider-Verse type of like zzz, zzz.
Yes.
And after I did that, I was like, it's very Spider-Verse. There was one thing I put out, actually used a song from the Spider-Verse to go with it, but that wasn't my goal. I was like, I want something that's a little like glitchy. And then when I did it, I was like, oh, that kind of looks Spider-Verse-y. So I had this on Times Square on the side of a building for 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah. So it was
wow.
It was huge because you could see they have a street view cam and you could see it. So I have a video of that somewhere, but
So
it was on it for 15 seconds.
How did you rock that? How did you manage that? That's amazing.
Here's a little tip. You can do it right now if you want. It costs $50 for this service. And these guys have this business plan where they have this huge sign. It's on the side of a building. It's right on the corner, right in Times Square. There's this giant sign. And it's like it's bigger than your house. And for $50, you get 15 seconds and you pick your time slot and you submit your work. They'll approve it and they put it up.
That is so awesome.
That is incredible.
That is incredible.
So it's great. I can't remember what it's called, but it's an app. You download an app and you do it all through the app.
That's amazing.
And it's super easy. They just walk you through some steps like submit your photo, do this, pick your time slot, and you're good to go. It's as easy as booking like somebody on Calendly. Like it's so simple.
Cool. And it's 15 seconds, one shot, and done, right?
Yeah. 15 seconds, one shot, done. $50. If you want, you can get like back-to-back slots or whatever and just pay, and just the more you pay, the more you show up. But I was like, I just have to do this. I have to do this. And they'll send you a video of it playing on their thing. But again, a very skeptical person. I was like, is that real? So I found my own street view cam that's not associated with them. And I was like, oh, you can see it. It's like, it's there. It's on that building over there. So it's cool, man. And that was awesome. Then I sent it. This is Brianna. I've known Brianna since she was born. That's the girl in this photo. And I sent her the video. I was like, you're famous. You're in Times Square. And she was like, that's so awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
So
she can brag to her friends. That's how that works.
Actually, she's there's a show going on in Newmarket. Steve, are you gonna be there? It's
Wayside.
Yeah, you gonna be there?
Yeah. I'll see you there.
Brianna, this girl here, she's gonna be substitute. It's gonna be her and my wife are gonna be our bunny girls.
The booth babes.
Well, it's funny because she saw the photos of the other cons, and it was like my wife and my friend Jess, and they were dressed as bunnies, and she saw it and she's like, I thought you were gonna ask me to do the table. She seems so disappointed, and I was like, no. I was like, those were all like in or around London. She's in Toronto, like she still lives in Toronto. So I was like, we weren't there, and I was like, I wasn't gonna ask you to come all the way to London to do a show. So she's like, oh, okay. I was like, next time we do one in Toronto or close by, we'll ask you. So we're driving right through to Toronto. We're driving right through Toronto to go to Newmarket. So I thought, all right, let's we'll ask her if she wants to go, and she's in. So
sweet.
That's in October? Yeah, 27th.
Which show is it? Which is it? Which
Newmarket? Wayside.
So basically, it's a comic book store And I think it's like in like I don't want to say like a beer market, but it's kind of got that
It's a
kind of
brewery. It's a brewery.
brewery or something like that. And so they're having a few artists up. I think, like obviously Mark and I'll be there, as well as some others. And they're having a 1-day show, and I think they're also serving food
What?
as well too.
What?
So
What?
I
What did
heard-
you say?
They're
serving food?
serving food.
Are you
Yep.
serious?
Do you guys know Conrad from Wednesday Night Reviews?
No.
He's so anyways, I was talking to him and I met him at Fan Expo. He was doing a panel. That's where I met him. And he's got his own show. But I was talking to him. He's a fellow Canadian. And he said he knows Omar. That's the guy who runs.
Yeah,
Wayside.
he runs.
So
Yeah.
he was talking about the Wayside Brewery or Wayside, whatever it's called. And he was like, yeah, in the front, it's like, coffee and board games or whatever. But in the back, he's like, it's a full-fledged restaurant. He's like, the food there is amazing. The chicken sandwich is awesome. So he's like, it's really top-notch food there. So he was just raving about this place. I was like, well, I can't wait to go now. I got to make sure I get there early. I want a chicken sandwich. I love me a good chicken sandwich. I just had some Popeyes the other day.
One of the worst problems about cons is that they are not around any freaking food, and the food that is around there is god awful expensive. So oh my god, if
arm
there's a place,
and a leg. Yeah.
If there's a place that actually has good food, and you can read comics, come on. Why wouldn't you go? That's like a double whammy right there.
A beer, a burger, and a comic book. Like, come on. That's kind of life right there.
And one thing I want to try out, like I don't want to pay for Fan Expo tables right now. I don't feel comfortable enough to pay for that because like I feel even if the comic book did well, the most I'm going to do is make back my cost. Right. So I keep applying for a pro table at Fan Expo, even though I'm not a pro, but it's like 1 year I will be. One year they'll say yes. Because as far as I know, the pro tables are free. Because their job, they give you the tables so you can attract people in. So that's my goal. My next goal is get accepted for pro table. And up to now, I want to do small cons. So I'm trying to do as many smaller cons as I can. It keeps the table cost down, and it gets a little more personal. And you're not competing with like TV stars that are showing up and everybody's there for autographs. Because really, I love Fan Expo. I go Fan Expo. I've been going since it launched, like 28 years ago or so, whatever. But the people go there now mostly to get autographs, and like Comic Cons are becoming less about comics every year, and it's more about knickknacks and going to see stars and getting autographs, getting your pictures taken with them. And it's great if you love doing that, but then where's my Comic Con that I love that I've been going for and doing my hunt? Like I can do some of that still at Fan Expo because it's a big show, but so many I went to a Comic Con. Not going to name names, but I went to the Comic Con and there was probably 3 or 4 comic tables there. And the rest was knickknacks, just things that cater to people that come in with $20 in their pocket and want to buy a cute kitty cat, buy a pin, buy a bookmark, and that's what it was catering to. The whole thing was a knickknack show. And it used to be about comics, but not anymore. And but I want to target those small shows because it's a cheaper way to experiment. You know what I mean? And like Wayside Comics, I think the tables are like $75 or something like that. Which is great.
Yeah. Also, too, though, when you're at those smaller shows, your chances of interaction are greater. There's so much going on at some of those big shows that it's almost like sensory overload for a lot of people. And then depending where you are in an aisle, people who might want to stop and talk to you are just like, no, we're just going to keep moving, right? So when it's a smaller show, you might actually, connect with more people. It's not doesn't necessarily that you're going to make more sales, but you're for sure going to connect with more people because it's just easier to interact with them, and you can sit there and talk with them for a little bit, and it's just a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere. It's just a different vibe.
And I I'm big into like meeting people that are doing the same thing I'm doing. So like when I worked in the video game, well, I still work in the video game industry, but when I was in it, when I first started in it, I like going to cons and like video game cons and talking to people that were also in the industry. And when I go to board game cons, I talk to other people in the board game industry because I do that as well. So I like going to these cons and like like meeting Steve, right? Like I like meeting people that are in the same boat as I am. That's above my bed, by the way. That picture that's up now.
I love it.
Those are
Very
frames above
love
my bed. And I'm
Very
bummed
good.
that I only bought enough frames for this. I want to do it all the way at my wall, but I can't remember who. I lost the business card, and they were
I
at
was gonna
Toronto
ask.
Comic.
I was like,
They're
where
at,
did you get those damn frames? They look
they're at
so
Yeah,
Toronto
good.
Comic Con.
those frames slap, man.
Yeah, they were at Toronto Comic Con, so I got to go back see if they have a vendor list, and then I'll keep reading the vendor list. I was like,
You
I'll
got-
remember it. I got it. I get
You
it.
got to unhinge them, and then on the back, it's got the business card there. It's probably it's probably got
That's-
like
they should have engraved on the back like the name
Yeah.
of their business, but it's not.
insane.
Why not? Why not?
Because what's
Or-
great about those is they're clear on the back, so you could, and they sit on the wall on a wedge, so they easily come off. You can flip it, see the back of the book, and put it back on.
God dang,
That's so cool.
so
They
nice.
sit on a floating, so they almost like float.
Yeah, I can see it. It's a few like a half an inch off the wall. It's amazing. I love
Yeah.
those.
They're great. I love those things. So I got to replace them with the autographed versions because I got like autographed. I got them all autographed by the artist who did the covers.
Cool.
Except 1 and 2 is I got 10 of them in Italy signed by Marco because that's where he lives. So I got to send him a UPS sticker so he can send them back to me. He sent me pictures. He took them,
So
but
crazy.
he's just never given back to me. So
Very
So
cool.
cool. Yep, absolutely. Like great stuff. And again, the marketing is on point. Like everything you guys are doing is just so good. And congratulations again. Like this, you already had one successful Kickstarter, second one on the way. Guys, if you haven't already, please check out So-Called Living on Kickstarter. I mean, like they're on the way to books 3 and 4. And again, you can have, all these great titles and different ways of pledging. I mean, which one has been so far the most popular pledges, as if I don't know already.
I haven't checked in a bit. Actually, I think the most popular one is the standard. Second was at one point standard and all in were equal. So it's like people either wanted just the basic standard or they want all the covers.
Right.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that says something, that the fact that the people aren't buying just the sex pots tells me that they like all the covers, so they're getting this pack. So this pack was it was one of the bigger sellers. At one point they were neck and neck. I don't know if they still are. But yeah, it was great. So that says a lot. And
It does.
I'm gonna put up James's comment here. Support SCL so Mark can buy me lunch next time.
Yeah, do that. I'll put that as a stretch goal. Jamie,
Jamie's lunch is a stretch goal.
Yeah, if we break $5,000 Canadian, we'll get you lunch.
This is a steal, though. I mean, $80 Canadian for every cover of the book. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
That's pretty good.
And these are physical copies, or are they just
the physical copies and the digital copies. God. Yeah, both physical and digital. And in American, for the American viewers, that's $60.
It's nothing.
Yeah,
and it is literally nothing. Like
so, and shipping is really cheap. It's just $12 Canadian to ship to the States anywhere, and that's for all you can get. I think you can get up to 12 covers, and $12 will cover it anywhere in the States. Amazing. And that's Canadian, so that's like $10 American.
So cool. Incredible. I mean, look at this. So much great work here. I love the style. I love the energy. I think that's really what's really getting me on these books. Like,
and it's vibrant too, right?
Yes.
Like there's it's so like the images pop the way the colors are. It's really eye catching.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting some feedback on my bunny cover because it's funny that of all the covers here, that cover has gotten most of the comments. Or like people comment about the sexy covers all the time, but I get so many covers of people like, I really like the bunnies. I get like that's been the most popular cover, which is great. Yeah, there's the bunny covers, and that was I didn't realize. I knew I was going to draw a cover at some point. I didn't think it was going to be this one. Something happened with the other lead cover. So I was like, well, I got to put my bootstraps on and figure out what I'm going to do. So I drew a bunch of bunnies, kind of loosely based on Jamie's style. And I was like, oh, if I'm going to do it like Jamie's, I'm going to do it like 3 colors. I want to just like, at first it was just black and white. I was like, I'm just going to do one color. And I was like, oh, I want a color that pops. And then the logo was a little black and white. I was like, I want another color. So I was like, I'm going to keep it down to 3 colors. So it's just black, pink, and blue. Right, white is the paper, so I wanted to do kind of a stylized treatment to it.
Just great. I mean, like honestly, this I do love the bunny cover as well, and I think it's just because it's different. You know, it's something like, and it catches people's attention no matter which way you swing, right? Like whether or not you're into action, whether you're not into comedy, whether you're not into
That
again,
number
like you
4
said,
sex pod is killer though. That number 4 sex pod edition is just like the detail in that is
There's
crazy.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
drawing in there.
There's
So
a
much
lot
going
of-
on in there.
a lot of action in there, a lot, a lot of detail. And again, I think I was talking to somebody the other day about photography, and sorry about that. I think I was talking to somebody about photography and how difficult it is to actually get like more than the 6 people in a room and not get lost in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really clearly you can see everybody in here. And I think there's one dude in there or something like that, but he's like smoking. I don't know what it was, but it's just a wonderful, composition all in all. And then you put in the 3D logo, and it's perfect. It's a wonderful composition.
Oh, I don't know if I showed you this, or I don't know, Jay, if you were here for this, or if I even showed this.
No, he didn't see it.
Oh yeah. So
Can you isolate that?
this is the original, because he draws pencil and ink himself manually. It's like old school on paper.
So good.
So I'm trying to even that out. Yeah. So there you go.
That
It's
is
amazing work.
That is
So
incredible.
he does that, and then he ships them off to me. So the cover 4 is currently in the mail. Geez, I'm all backwards. I'm trying to sort this out. There you go. But yeah, amazing.
Incredible.
Is there any possibility of any original artwork being in a tier for like when you get to issues 5, 6, or 7 and 8?
I thought of I was going to talk to Marco about like the next one, the one for next year for to do that. Also playing with the idea of like, what if we make it possible that if you get a tier, you can be one of the characters, like an extra. Do you know what I mean? Like in
Trust
the
me,
next book.
we did it.
Or
Ours for it's a winner. People
Really?
love to have that as an option.
Great. What did you? So, if you don't mind me asking, what was the tier for that?
We called it a draw-in tier.
Okay.
So essentially, you got yourself. They got all the books, right? So basically, they got everything, which would have been the top tier, all the variants, and then they got their image as a character in the book.
Nice. I'm just thinking, I was like, for the next 2 scripts, I got to go by. I was like, do I have a good scene where I can put like a bunch of people? So, because I know there's a lot of characters in book 2 that show up, like just people walking around. It'd be fun if like it could be you, it could be somebody else. They buy a tier and like you're a character, and we have a few slots available. Obviously, you'd be limited because if it took off, there's only so much we could do. But
yeah, like we couldn't offer it for this latest campaign because it was at the end, so we had to end it with the 2-3 campaign because it's a 5-issue one that we're doing, and so just because of production time and whatnot, we had to have it where it was our second last campaign, or else we wouldn't have been able to include everybody because you needed the backers once everything's finished to send you photos so you could use their likeness.
Yeah. Did you do any legal paperwork? Like I guess not, because they're paying.
No.
It's like
No, we didn't.
Makes
But
sense.
it's an option
to do it. So,
it's an option.
yeah.
But like, to be honest with you, if you backed it, that's kind of like a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
And as long as we're not like a main character, you're fine.
Yeah, I've been watching too many or listening to too many court cases, and just people just getting into shit for like the dumbest things. So
you know what? There's a lot. Like even when you're doing things where you're setting it in a particular city, you have to make sure that someone doesn't have that same name in a certain city. It's really interesting, some of the things that you have to kind of clear through legal. But yeah, and some of the people that we had picked that one were also our friends. So, they're not going to sue you.
No, it's great. And I think it's a great idea. But yeah, it didn't happen for this Kickstarter. But I definitely want to do something extra. So I have to talk to Marco and see if he's on board. Because if he's not on board, then it's not going to happen. I'll have to do something else.
Yeah, for sure.
And these videos are fun to do. They get this video. This video is fun to do. I have to, it's a little bit of work to separate everybody from the panels and then make them like, because there's actually like all these characters. It's subtle, but they all move. Like the
right.
All like in that page. So like this one's not as subtle, as obvious, but like doing that is fun to do. I enjoy it, and I had to teach myself how to use After Effects to make that work, which is fun because like video editing in general, it's something I had to teach myself for the board game channel. So when I went back to do all these effects, I had to teach myself how to do this And on this one, I went for a lost VHS archive feel. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I thought it came out pretty well. And
Yeah,
it's,
great
it's
stuff.
fun.
Again,
It's
the
fun.
marketing is 100% on point, and you said it is hard to get noticed, but once you hit that stride, you know, people will follow you. And there's just that, as with all comics, right? Steve knows this. Anybody who's created a book, the loyalty is there. You know, fans keep
Yeah.
coming back, and that's the ones that keep you know, supporting you throughout the next campaign, the campaign after that. And again, they're excited to see you. They're excited to see your work, and they're excited to see you succeed. And it's great. The community is still as strong as ever. Even if the Comic Cons aren't really paying like, you know, putting Comic Con in the name is just a thing now. They're not actually Comic Cons, as we said earlier, right? They're more like
Pop culture
pop
exposed.
culture comms, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's still comics there, and we should always you know, highlight the creators whenever we can. So Mark, what you know, congratulations, man. This has been really a great time catching up with you. $26,000 of a $1,436 goal. You know, and the sky's is the limit. 21 days to go. Guys, please help us get much further. What's the next stretch goal that you have in mind? Or
I don't have actually any stretch goals on here because I try to keep it simple. Because I feel like I'm still getting my feet wet, so I didn't want to dive in too deep. So like next time I want to do like what we just talked about, you know, adding characters in there. So I might play with stretch goals later, but right now I'm like, I don't know if stretch goals is something like I was ready for because I'm still
Right.
kind of a little nervous, you know, still playing it safe. I want to make sure everybody gets everything. I don't want to get in over my head. I don't want to like, because I had somebody ask me to do, you saw on my Instagram, I had t-shirts. So, and I have the sweater, and I've had people that be like, they would like the t-shirts and they're like, oh, I want a bunny t-shirt. I want a Soko Living t-shirt. And I was like, okay, but you're gonna have to make them yourself because like there is no bunny t-shirt for anybody else other than me and whoever I made them for to walk around with me in the show. And I was like, I get it, but I was like, I don't want to make a bunch and then get stuck with a bunch because like people didn't back them. So I'm trying to be as safe as possible because I just want the stories to succeed, right? And I'm doing the best I can for the story and for the license. And when it blows up, and if people like, if there's a large demand for the t-shirts, yeah, I'm more than happy to design more t-shirts because they did well. I walked around with them at Fan Expo as a guest. I was walking around Fan Expo as a guest wearing the t-shirts, and we got people being like, nice t-shirt, just like randomly. I was like, oh, cool. Like you didn't know it was So-Called Living. Like the one with the bunny is just a white bunny, and they're like, cute bunny. And there was another one which I thought was interesting is I have 3 characters, and one guy commented on because there's a character with a turban, like an Indian character with a turban. He's just drawn black and white, but it's clearly he had a turban on because the t-shirt's all black and white. And this other guy with the turban come on, he's like, hey, that's awesome that you have that on there. And he walked away. I was like, I didn't even thought of it. That's how I put him in there. It was just Marvin. I just thought of Marvin because like when I grew up in Toronto, it was like a mixed bag of races everywhere, right? It was so it was like, you know, just it was a bunch of us was just a bunch of trail mix in Toronto. So I never even thought of it until he brought it up. I was like, that's weird. I was like, why did he bring? I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's why I brought it up because it was like because he was an Indian guy wearing a turban just like Marvin is, and I was like, oh, that's why he called Marvin out specifically. I was like, there's nothing special about him.
It's the stuff we take for granted.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. Like we live in such a multicultural city, and you know, and not even just Toronto. Like most decent sized cities, you know, it's pretty multicultural these days. Like it's and again, it reaches people. You know what I mean? Which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just want to stick on comics, but I also want to delve back into Gotham. What do you guys think of the creative team of Hush going back and working on Batman, on a new Batman story? So
it is a new Batman story.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't have to do with Absolute. So it's Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and I'm going to assume. I'm not sure if Alex Sinclair did the colors or not, but they're going back into the well. I guess it'd be like getting Silvestri and Claremont to go work on X-Men again.
Well, yeah.
What are your thoughts on classic creative teams going back and trying to strike gold?
I like the idea of classic teams going together, but as far as that team you mentioned, um, Jeff Loeb for me is the least consistent of that bunch, because he's definitely written some stuff. I was like, oh, it's cool. It's light reading. It's fun. He did. What did he do a lot of? Was it Batman, Superman? He did a lot of Batman, Superman. I can't remember which series I was reading that he did a lot of, and I was like, I read him sometimes like, oh, he's doing really good, and I read other stuff. I was like, wait, this doesn't even seem like the same person anymore. It's like, so he seems a little inconsistent, but
Right.
like Jim Lee always rocks it, right? Like he's always gold. So because he's like a perfectionist, right?
Right.
So,
It's interesting because he's basically running DC right now.
yeah.
But this creative team is going to be shelving Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez, who's the current creative team. And so I'm not sure everyone's happy with that outcome. So it's just kind of interesting because they have a really solid team on Batman right now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, wouldn't it have made more sense to just make a second title as a short run miniseries?
Doesn't Batman have enough titles? I actually stopped reading Batman because there was so many I couldn't keep up.
It's funny you mentioned that because at the store today, I was at Gotham Central picking up my my books, and I was mentioning that basically DC Comics should just be called Batman Comics because he's the engine that drives that company.
Batman, Absolute Batman is what, like, I'm trying it again, like I'm jumping in, but like I was reading so much Batman, I got lost, especially if you fall back a few weeks. Like I still had the books and they were in the pile, and I was like, okay, so does this story jumping different Batman issues? And then I'm reading one, and then he's fighting Catwoman. I read another one, and he's like Gotham blew up, but Gotham's not blown up in this thing that's happening parallel. Like what's like, there's all these different stories happening at once, but they don't seem to know the other one exists. It's like there's a gang war with him and Catwoman. There's him with these other guys. I can't remember what they're called. And they're blowing up Gotham. There's all this shit happening in parallel, and I can't remember all the titles because I know they're Batman, but Batman what? Is it Detective Comics Batman? Like there's so many different Batmans I couldn't keep track that I was just like, I'm cutting loose. Like they piled up on me. It's like the tap needs to be turned off, and I left it on, and now it's pouring over the edges, and I couldn't keep up. So I was like, I just pulled the plug, and I was like, I'm done with Batman for a bit until he does something and I can focus on one Batman title, because there's too many and I can't differentiate them.
Jay?
That was my story. Like, because I was reading so much, and I found, like, if I went, and I have a terrible memory, so if I go back to another comic and unless I just like flipping through the pages, I'm like, what is the one I read before? Was that part of this? No, it couldn't be. That was the story. And then I was like, which story did I read before? I just lost track. So then I stopped. That's my deal.
I mean,
but I'm giving it another go.
You can't have enough Batman, man. You can't have too many Batmans. No. No, I don't mind when creative teams come back. I mean, the new Batman the Animated Series we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, Steve. I mean, like, that brought back the entire animation team from like almost a decade, almost a decade and a half ago. And with varying degrees of success, obviously, right? But at the end of the day, if they can write a good story, if the artwork is it's going to be good. We've seen the results from before, right? So, I mean, like, it's possible. But Hush, of course, is one of those books that a lot of people got into. You know what I mean? Like, it was a great story, right? Brand new characters, and, well, I guess arguably brand new characters. And of course, the mystery surrounding it, everything came together in a nice little package. And, now we have action figures. We have, a legacy that people can actually fall back on. And again, people are talking about it again. And that's really what it is. You want comic book fans to talk about a story, right? The Court of Owls, those are the things that really resonate with people and say, shit, that was a great that was a great series, right? And then you bump into a bunch of guys at a comic book store and say, yeah, what's your favorite Batman series? Oh, Hush was amazing. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you hear that Hush is coming back. It's another way to galvanize the community and get them back on a book. You know what I mean? And hopefully it'll stick, because as Mark just mentioned, like, you can get lost in this, right? Like, how many parallel books are running at the same time, right? So it does happen.
Yeah, what's Elseworlds, what isn't Elseworlds, what's absolute, what isn't absolute. Continuity, at least in my opinion, has kind of suffered recently. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure the reason for it, but I remember, like, I'm kind of dating myself, but back in the 80s, I remember Jim Shooter in when he was the editor-in-chief at Marvel. His main thing was continuity. And it was kind of fun because you could read an FF book and it could make reference to something that's happening to Spider-Man in the same month. And, you probably bought both issues and you can kind of cross-reference stuff, right? Or, a couple of months off. And it wasn't one where you're like, I had to buy a whole miniseries. Or
they're cranking out
the
so
timelines didn't match. Yeah,
they're
I agree with
cracking
you.
out so fast and they can't follow it. Like I was ragging on Batman because I came up, but the first time I had my first rant for myself that I had with my wife, and she's like, I don't care. That was her response, but it was for like Iron Man. Because like Iron Man and Marvel, like there's like this whole House of X thing. He's playing an important role there, and then they have this like Impossible City storyline that's happening there, and then he had something else going. I was like, wait a second, dude. So you're not the leader of the Avengers anymore. You're doing this, and there's this giant global thing that you're worried about. Like, cities are being destroyed, but nobody cares. Like, the X-Men are being killed. Like, that was a big thing, but the cities are being destroyed. Like, Toronto was trashed. Like, I was like, these huge things happening at the same time. I was like, what? You're just going back and forth like, this is our biggest issue. And then you're on the other thing. It was like, well, this is a big problem. It's like the continuity. It's one thing if like, it's just a slight thing, but it's like, they're big global, like, license changing things, and they're happening at the same time. And for me, that it was Iron Man that was kind of jumping between all these big stories, and he didn't bring one up in the other one. He's like, oh yeah, I'm helping the mutants right now, but I really got this whole other thing where like Toronto is being actually ripped apart and manipulated like a Rubik's cube. But right now I'm gonna pretend to be married to Emma Frost. I'm gonna do that thing for a bit, and then it's just like the back and forth is just. It was just crazy for me. And I'm like, what's happening? And I think it's because I stopped reading Marvel and DC for a bit. And I was reading just other offshoot comics are in this popular, like Harrow County and a bunch of other things. But then come back to this and I was like, am I remembering correctly? But like, there was a little more continuity. Maybe I was reading less different things, because I wasn't a big Avengers guy until like Bendis got a hold of them, and then I liked it. And then the Ultimate Universe, that's got me into Avengers.
So here's a question then. Are events like what you're talking about, are they better told in things like an annual? Like is it better to have that kind of story collected in an annual that's so you don't have to go through a year trying to figure out how is Iron Man in space and also in 5 different spots in the country in the same month?
I'd like it to be more of what you described as like what you described before. It was like the Fantastic Four might mention Iron Man or he may pop in, but be aware that he's got this big other thing. And it's because there's so much crossover now. Everybody wants to have everybody mingled into everything. But if you can just be, I guess if you set rules on characters, like, okay, Iron Man is currently preoccupied with this big, like if you think of movie stars, this movie star is currently working on this giant movie. You can have him as a guest appearance in yours, but he has to be aware of this other thing that's happening. So that would be nice. Like I like the long stories. And actually one of the things I like about Marvel over DC for their big stories is I find DC does 2 things that kind of irritates me a bit. They do them really fast. It's like, I feel like I blink and their event is done. And I was like, what happened? Like at one point there was like, they were being attacked by their nightmares. I don't know what happened. I bought like 1 issue and then I missed 2 or 3 weeks and the whole event was over. And I was like, what happened? It's like, they came out and they branched out to everything at once. It was like, here's 5 comic books this week. Here's another 5 comic books. And then boom, 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 done. Where at least I find Marvel they stretch it out more. Like they take a little more time to tell the story, and I appreciate them telling the story. Just like let it percolate, let it like live in it, right? And so for me, DC does that too fast. Another thing DC does that I can't remember which story it was. It was one of the Green Lantern stories back in early 2000s. It might have been Darkest Night or something like that. I can't remember. But there are major events that are happening in tie-in comics.
Yeah.
So if you miss that tie-in comic, like you're reading the main, if you read them out of order, you're like, whoa, where's Superman through all this? And he's like somewhere else having this whole thing. And then he pops up and he talks about these events like you should have read them, asshole. What do you mean you're not reading all 60 comic books tie-ins that for this 6-issue miniseries? And that irritated me because I was like, I don't know what the hell is happening with this character, but they keep referencing their story. So I don't mind if they're having the other thing as like an additional thing, and maybe they'll do some offshoot thing, but they seemed vital to the story that they were trying to tell in that issue. And that kind of irritates me.
It's almost like they need an appendix with QR codes so that when you're confused, you whip out the phone and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about?
100% agree.
That's what they're talking about.
Right.
So
that's what the augmented reading should be.
That's what it should be.
Back in the day, when I was reading, like when I got into comics, and it was always like something happened and Spider-Man would mention something and there'd be like, it happened in issue blah blah blah, and I was like, yes, and then I'd go buy that issue. I go find that. If I was curious enough, I go find it. Now I can go to Wiki.
Yes.
And then you die. Then you're in a wiki rabbit hole. Like then you end up reading more
forever.
You did comics. It's like I read one comic book. I ended up on Wiki for 3 hours learning all about Superboy. And like when he came from, what's the alternate realities? Well, there's the prime reality. There's all the different realities. And I read about all the different permutations of Superboy. And I was like, how did I get here? I gotta stop. So I taught myself. Like, I just got to let it go. If I start asking myself too many questions, 1 or 2 questions, fine. Start asking myself too many questions, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to know any of it anymore. I'm just going to go. Because in all honesty, I'm old enough now that in a month, I'm going to forget it anyways. So it's just not going to happen. I'm not how I was when I was a teenager. It's not going to just stick in. Like, I still have stories in my head from when I was a teenager that I can remember better than what I read yesterday.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's how memory is a funny thing.
That's
and then you walk into the room to do something. You forgot exactly what the fuck you were going to do.
Like, why did I even walk into this room?
Why did I walk into the room just now?
I don't know what the age thing is here. But like I'll be 48 in December.
Okay, we're all the same vintage.
We're right there. We're right there.
We're all there.
You're among friends.
We'll be in the home together.
We're at the age where you get injured getting out of bed.
Yeah, that's like I'm on painkillers right now because of my back. And the doctor asked me, so what were you doing? Were you like lifting something? I was like, no, I was just existing in my oldness. And I had a toddler beside me that, I'm pretty sure going to look back being like, maybe I should have had him younger. But, I had a toddler when I was like, I had a newborn when I was 45.
Right.
So he's 3 years old now. So yeah, and just existing, and look at me. I was in the hospital on the weekend. I'm on painkillers and an anti-inflammatory. I can't drive. I can't drink because if I do, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? Like my liver's going to fall out of my ass or something. I don't know because I'm at this age where anything can go, and it's just like that. And it's like hinges on an old door. You're like, well, we got to change that. Like, I don't know.
Crazy.
Sorry, I don't know how we got here.
Well, life is short. I mean, with everything going on in the world, all those guys, everybody down in North Carolina,
prayers to everyone in Florida, man. Milton is it's no joke. So hope everyone down there is safe.
Major. Please evacuate if you've been told to do that. Like, it's crazy out there, guys. Don't risk your life. Like, seriously. I know your home's your castle and everything like that, but come on. Let's be honest. Like, it's not worth it, right? That's what insurance is for. I mean, I know that with having all these fucking toys around me, I would grab everything and put them in a truck and like drive, to Wisconsin or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just saying that what if you can take your most valuable possessions and go, you know what I mean? Like it's just not worth it. But anyway, like everyone's alluding to here, we're not getting any younger. So guys, please support so-called living, because it's an amazing project. And congratulations once again to Mark Mia. Mia, man, what
Maya.
a wonderful, what a Maya. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, it's
I cannot pronounce names for the life of me, but honestly, great project. Congratulations and wonderful marketing. Seriously, it's on point. Looking forward to reading the book when it finally when these 2 issues come out. Steve, I want to throw it up there and let's let everybody know where they can support Mark one more time. Did I still have it? Hold on.
Hold on, I've got it.
You got it? Okay.
And
There we go.
bam.
There we go, everybody. Bunch of bunnies. It's a whole bunch of bunnies. Yeah, guys, great project, lots of fun, and a whole bunch of different covers you can pick up.
Yep.
You can even pick up the beefcake cheesecake. It's all good, and they've already hit their goal. And now it's all about just getting more people on board, and it's a fun ride. You guys definitely don't want to miss out.
And
Look up So-Called Living on Kickstarter. They're on books 3 and 4, and you can still buy issues 1 and 2 thanks to their what's the other platform called? It's like
if you go to Kickstarter, there's a late pledge for books 1 and 2, but there's also a catch-up package in here. So if you want 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's actually cheaper to get it here. But if you want to read issue 1 for free digitally, you can go to Global Comics.
There you go, guys. So definitely back it and get the bunny cover, man. The bunny cover is the best one ever.
And the shipping costs are there as well too. So everything you need to know to get caught up on So-Called Living, whether it's issues 1 and 2 or the 3 and 4 that are coming out in this current Kickstarter, everything's here. So I read the first 2, love them, give it a shot, help them get not only where they are now, but much further over their goal, and support these creators.
You won't be disappointed.
100%. Yeah. And if I may be a little bit selfish, where's Atrium right now? Because I think Atrium could use a bit of a boost on its last couple of days. I think we're up on. Let me see if I can. I'll toss it up there just really quickly. You got it, Steve? All right.
Yeah.
There we go, guys. Once again, congratulations to the Atrium team. They're doing. If you want to just close the sidebar. There we go. Yeah, guys, they're getting up to almost $2,000, and honestly, it's been a great ride. Congratulations, Steve! Another wonderful run for this one. They got
love the
bunch of
Bloodface
covers.
Yeah, that we really are lucky. Marco Rudy did our cover for us. He's doing a variant for issue 5. He absolutely smashed it.
That's a beautiful cover, yeah.
And it's very exciting, and the series just continues to get better after each and every issue. And of course, we got a bunch of different variant covers here that people can purchase. And are we doing any more stretch goals on this one, Steve, or are we pretty much at the stickers and?
No, what actually I met someone on a stream a couple of days ago, and we came up with a great idea. I don't want to say anything just yet, but we might have something as a stretch goal that's pretty cool. So if we can, and we might include it as a stretch goal that is under some of the numbers that we're looking for, because it's so cool. We kind of want to get these into people's hands, so we just got to get stuff figured out. But other than that, we have bookmarks, cover posters, foil stickers, and fridge magnets. But we do have some other really interesting things that are potentially down the pipe. And I think there's 13 days left or 14 days left.
Yep, 13 days.
Right. So, as high as we can get, we'll be happy with that.
Absolutely. Another great project to go check out, guys. Definitely look up Atrium 1 through 5. You guys won't regret it. A wonderful action horror thriller. And of course, as mentioned earlier, So-Called Living. Definitely support both of these independent projects. These guys are working hard and doing some great work. Seriously. Thank you guys for that. And of course, thanks to everybody out here for hanging out with us. Bernie's been on fire. Bernie
has been on fire, but I'm going to go back to badass reviews.
Good to see you, brother.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Bernie says that Bernie Zombie could be a thing.
Well, he could be. He could actually move.
Right? Andrew Davis is yo. How you doing, Andrew?
What's going on, Andrew?
Bernie, I was reading DC in the 70s, Marvel in the 80s, Image in the 90s, stopped in the 2000s, just picked up today. Yes, with your 23-year So little bit of a hiatus.
Hiatus, a little break here.
A little break. And oh yeah, I read a little bit of Dark Horse, Alien, and Predator comics.
All right, so you were in the 2000s. Don't lie.
Yeah,
Don't lie. You were dabbling
for sure.
Dabbler, comic dabbler.
So, Mark, once again, thanks for joining us. Best of luck on the remaining days for So-Called Living. Where can people get you outside of the So-Called Living website?
Outside of Kickstarter? Well, yeah, the best. Well, yeah, if anybody wants to reach out or touch out, do people say no? Reach out. Check out like So-Called Living we're on Instagram, and Board Game Coffee is also me. And that's on YouTube and Instagram. So if you like board games, check that out. So it's a good little channel.
Excellent. Awesome. And James, what do you got coming up in the next little while?
Well, apparently I was on 2 different streams at the exact same freaking time. So I mean,
multitasking.
That was interesting. I don't know how that happened, but no, yeah, right, guys. Seriously, just here, supporting independent artists, and really happy to be, of course, part of the Comix Asylum. And guys, if you haven't already, please check out Comix Asylum on Instagram as well as on YouTube, and of course their website. They're always a great resource for comic news all year round. And of course, they got some great trailers and other wonderful insights and interviews just like this with wonderful creators like Mark. And of course, they are doing an amazing work with Atrium. Guys, go support both of these amazing Kickstarters. You guys won't regret it.
All right, everyone. Enjoy the night. If you're in Florida, please stay safe. And we will catch you guys in 7. And remember, keep it indie.